What is America? America is firsts. The first to communicate by telegraph. The first to successfully fly an airplane. The first to reach the moon. And it's the first nation on Earth to create, by legislation, a national park, Yellowstone. Its mythic geysers bursting high. Its cleft of colors cast a spell. Its savage beauty fills the eye. But underneath lies Coulter's hell. Roger Fromm. Yellowstone is a huge place, reaching from the northwest corner of Wyoming into Montana and Idaho. Each year, Yellowstone is host to over 3 million visitors. Within the park alone, there are 300 miles of paved roads and a myriad of trails taking you to the world's greatest thermal features. It's a place of unfolding wonders. Old Faithful, Mammoth Hot Springs, Yellowstone Falls, Yellowstone Lake, Lamar Valley. Natural phenomena that have become part of the American experience. Its name is celebrated over the earth, but it hasn't always been that way. Once, it was the great unknown. Hemmed in by Sentinel Mountains, it is an area spanning well over 3,000 square miles. Wagon trains on their westward push prudently avoid it. No white explorer has ever laid eyes on this land. To Native Americans who hunted here, it was a place possessed by spirits, a place of magic. Then, an explorer, John Coulter, enters this unknown area in 1808. John Coulter had been a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition of 1804 to 1806, across unexplored North America from St. Louis to the Pacific. One of the most famous expeditions in U.S. history. The first written mention of this forbidden land is found in an entry that William Clark made in his journal.
There is frequently heard a loud noise, like thunder, which makes the earth tremble,
a tribal Indian had told him. But Lewis and Clark never ventured into the land themselves, not even for a glimpse. After his honorable discharge in 1806, Coulter did not go home to his native Virginia. Instead, he went back west to search out for himself this mysterious region, becoming the first person of European descent ever to behold what is today Yellowstone National Park. What he discovers is Hades, the Inferno, an underworld, the kingdom of the dead, without having died. Sulfurous fumes slithering into black air. Dismal pits of bubbling pitch and mud. Bizarre formations of rock and steam, shaped by madness. Sinister forests of harsh and savage growth. A region of the damned, where darkness cannot die. When John Coulter returns to civilization and breathlessly makes public his discovery, he is mocked. His account is called a mad hallucination. Laughingly, the region he'd explored is labeled Coulter's Hell. Over the next 40 years, mountain men, fur trappers, hunters, mavericks who venture beyond the frontier are lured into this netherworld. They return with stories every bit as fantastic as John Coulter's. But everyone knows that mountain men are tellers of tall tales. Though the United States government shows some interest, the Civil War hampers any surveys into the region. In 1871, with government sponsorship, American geologist Ferdinand V. Hayden leads an expedition into the region to separate fact from fiction. Hayden makes a point of including an on-the-spot artist. And a photographer in his party of scientists and explorers. What they discover is more a paradise than a purgatory. Hayden and his party are convinced that this awesome region, sprawling across volcanic plateaus in northwest Wyoming, which early French trappers had called Roche Jaune, Yellow Rock, is a natural treasure that must be protected. In the nation's capital, Hayden petitions the Congress to set aside a certain tract of land lying near the headwaters of the Yellowstone River as a public park. On the 1st of March, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signs a bill designating Yellowstone as a federally governed national park. Yellowstone is a creation of fire and water. It's thousands of square miles of forest and meadow, lakes, rivers, and waterfalls. Mountains and canyons are cradled in the vast caldera of an ancient volcano, still active, the largest supervolcano on the continent. Yellowstone is fire. The dark and deep underground is perpetually seething with superheated ash and pumice, endlessly spewing steam and gases. Here, the billion-year-old birth pangs of Mother Earth are a daily occurrence. Colonnades of lava, pushing through the Earth's crust from the blind world below. Fantasies shaped of lime and water. Fumaroles, color-tinted by mineral deposits. Mud pots, a hyperactive display of volcanic bubble gum. Rather than a vision of Coulter's hell, Yellowstone's landscape is what American poet Mark Strand deems a thermal extravaganza. Mammoth Hot Springs features were created over thousands of years. Constantly changing terraces, pools, and colorful formations grow out of a massive discharge of thermally heated waters. Each day, over 2 tons of calcium carbonate, suspended in water, create ever-changing structures. Norris Geyser Basin is the oldest and most dynamic thermal area in the park. It's been boiling and gurgling for at least 115,000 years. And it's the hottest, at 1,000 feet below the surface, 459 degrees Fahrenheit. These subterranean super-hot waters burst through the Earth's skin as geysers, hot springs, steam vents. Its pools shimmer in blue, gold, and green. The algae growing in these thermal waters are color-coded: orange for the hottest, green for the coolest. Norris is the site of Steamboat Geyser, the world's tallest. When Steamboat erupts, it can spew scalding water over 400 feet into the air. But it's unpredictable. Major eruptions occur from 4 days to 50 years apart. Most geysers are much smaller. At Lower Geyser Basin, the largest area in Yellowstone, covering 11 acres, the steady throb of clepsydra sprouts 45 feet high. A series of terraced reflecting pools surrounds Great Fountain Geyser, one of the few drive-up geysers in the park. Lower Geyser Basin also hosts fountain paint pots. The mud consistency changes season to season from soupy to sticky. Midway Geyser Basin's Grand Prismatic Spring, at over 300 feet across, is the largest hot spring in Yellowstone. Nearby, another large feature, Excelsior Geyser. Its crater's copious outflow, thousands of gallons a minute, is hot, 199 degrees Fahrenheit. So much steaming water flows into the Firehole River that it's warmed several degrees. Mud Volcano Boardwalk leads to Dragon's Mouth. Rhythmic belching of steam and a flashing tongue of water give it its name. Yellowstone is also water. These are the waters of the highest, in altitude, large lake in North America, Yellowstone Lake. For visitors to the park, the lake is a place for exploration, fishing, and boating. The waters of the Yellowstone River, almost 700 miles long, flow gently, then rapidly, gain speed and tremendous power, and then juggernaut through scarps of yellow stone, which give the region its name, chipping and spalling until they've hacked out a spectacular Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. This canyon, winding and twisting for a full 35 miles, is the Earth turned inside out. Rocks, soaked with minerals by ancient volcanic turbulence, glow red, yellow, magenta. A downrush of waters frigid with snowmelt, and rapids, cataracts, and finally, in great cascading falls. There are nearly 300 waterfalls in Yellowstone. Chief among them, the Upper Yellowstone Falls. a dramatic outpour of spray and foam that can be witnessed from a cliff edge viewing platform. Taller still, the lower falls, almost twice as high as Niagara. This is the view from Artist's Point, recalling the oil paintings of Thomas Moran, who captured the moment in the 1870s, as legions of contemporary camera buffs do today. A buildup of ice during winter only enhances its beauty. Almost completely bounded by mountains, Yellowstone is 80% forest. Lodgepole pine mostly, though some of its forests are no longer of living wood. Volcanic ash and soil transform tree sap into minerals, which turn the trees to stone. There are thousands of petrified trees in Yellowstone. This land is often called the Serengeti of the Americas, after the renowned East African Game Reserve. Yellowstone is one of the world's foremost wildlife sanctuaries, home to the largest number of wild animals per square mile in all the lower 48 states. Mating, giving birth, growing up, Yellowstone is a protected home for hundreds of kinds of mammals. Creatures of the water, and creatures of the air. Renowned for its bears, there was a time when the interplay between the park's animals and its human visitors became problematical. Yellowstone has always been a photographer's paradise. In the early 1900s, after the Kodak company came out with the popular Brownie box camera, Yellowstone was beset with camera-toting visitors, taking snapshots to show the folks back home. But the snapshots most highly prized were the ones with wild bears. Being photographed with bears was one of the highlights of a visit to Yellowstone. Back then, scraps from the tourist picnic table or the cooking fire were put out, and the Park Service staged public feedings every night for the many bears in Yellowstone. Visitors sometimes fed the bears by hand. Look at me! But the bear is interested only in the food. Black bears and grizzlies both are native denizens of Yellowstone National Park. Both species hibernate during the winter, which may amount to a 5 or 6 month nap. They live off the fat they put on during spring, summer, and autumn, the tourist season. Then, they'll spend most every waking hour putting on weight. They're omnivores. They'll eat plant life, insects, fish, small animals, and occasional carrion. Black bears, one of the 2 species that thrive here, are endowed with excellent vision and hearing, and an extremely keen sense of smell, combined with uncanny intelligence. Cubs must learn from their mothers how to sniff out real food. Today, garbage is no longer on the menu, thanks to bear-proof garbage cans and strict non-feeding rules. From dawn to dusk, they're busy foraging, climbing trees in search of protein-rich cones. The other park forager is the grizzly. Grizzlies differ dramatically from black bears. Their huge size, their humps, and a wide dish-shaped face. But their sense of sight and sound and smell is just as keen. A grizzly is an almost mythical creature, the biggest, most terrifying land mammal in North America. At 7 feet in height and weighing from 300 to 700 pounds, they are mighty animals. And they're extremely resourceful food thieves. Many wolf kills are taken over by grizzly bears. This is not to say that the bears at Yellowstone are always ferocious marauders. But neither are they Smokey that your kids can play with. In the mid-1990s, the gray wolf was reintroduced to the area. Wolves were native to Yellowstone, but they were hated. 19th and 20th century bounties on wolf hides and hatred from ranchers and hunters alike led to their slaughter, almost to extinction. No wolves were left in Yellowstone. What was overlooked is the wolf's critical place in the balance of nature. Actually, the wolf is a vital animal, the ancient progenitor of the family dog. They are social animals who live in packs. In 1995 through 96, 31 Canadian wolves were brought into Yellowstone. Today, in the restored balance between prey and predator, their descendants are thriving. Elk are the most numerous of all of Yellowstone's large mammals. Their numbers were so unchecked that the park's grasslands were threatened by overgrazing. Wolves prey upon the infirm, the weak, and those who can't keep up. Thus cropping the herds, which makes the elk stronger. Even the overgrazed meadows have made a comeback. At one time, some 30 to 60 million bison roamed the prairies of North America. They too were wantonly hunted, almost to extinction. Today, bison are protected, and Yellowstone is one of their strongholds. These genetically pure bison are descended from a few survivors in the 1880s, hidden in the wilds of Yellowstone. Now, during the short summers, bison pack the valleys, trampling broad tracks through the lush grass. Here, they give birth to their young, whose first instinct is to lie very still, hugging the ground. Within hours, the wobbly-legged newborn can keep up with the herd. While fording a stream, the calf struggles against strong currents. Its favorite pastime, romping in the meadow. A Yellowstone winter is winter at its worst. The cold is lethal. Bison keep from freezing to death by pressing close to the hot steam seeping from below the Earth's crust. They forage through the snow for edibles. Each hard-earned morsel helps stave off starvation. Massive neck muscles swing the head through the snowdrifts as much as several feet high. But winter doesn't discourage frost-defying visitors from coming to the park. For snowmobile excursions, they bundle up against the knife-sharp minus 40-degree cold, traveling in guided groups. Heeding the warning, the animals have the right of way. Bison love the cleared roads. For those who like it a bit more cozy, it's all aboard for the snow coach. It promises a warmer, eye-opening adventure. During winter, all of the accommodations in the heart of the park are closed. Only the Snow Lodge near Old Faithful remains open, a sort of sanctuary for those who come for winter sports. And the sights. The cycle of seasons is part of the bold nature of Yellowstone, where snow falls every month of the year, even in July. Winter is Yellowstone's longest season. And at the highest elevations, its icy grip lasts, even as the warming sun brings life to lower valleys. Melting snow signals spring's arrival, from a steady drip to the full torrent of the Yellowstone River. Now comes summer's profusion of life. Wildflowers bloom, meadows green, grass is lush and tall. Park animals are also energized. All too soon, the yellowing of the aspen signals fall's appearance. And winter's icy lock returns. In every season, visitors arrive at Yellowstone from all 50 United States and from Canada and Latin America. Many come from Europe and Asia and Australia, Africa and Oceania. They come seeking many different sights, a diversity of experiences. Swimming in the geothermal warmed waters of the Firehole River. Watching Roosevelt elk feeding on the banks of the Madison, Yellowstone's only year-round herd. and wildlife watching. In the Lamar Valley, it's a daily ritual. Staking out the best viewing spots. A cadre of spotting scopes, binoculars, cameras, scan the valley. Distant movement attracts dozens of eyes. A bear. In the Roosevelt area, find a touch of the Old West on a covered wagon ride through sagebrush flats. Or venture on horseback through some of Yellowstone's equestrian trails. From 2-hour rides to all-day backcountry treks. For some, the prime attraction is a stay at the Old Faithful Inn. Not only is this structure one of the few log hostelries of gigantic proportions remaining in the United States, it is an iconic touchstone to Yellowstone Park. The inn, which is listed as a National Historic Monument with its 8-story interior and massive fireplace, has inspired generations of back-to-nature architects. Old Faithful Inn has been a Yellowstone landmark since its appearance in 1904. But there is one attraction that all visitors must see before leaving. Old Faithful. There are more than 300 active geysers in Yellowstone National Park. Yet only Old Faithful is accorded superstardom. This is because of its nearly clock-like predictability. You can almost set your watch by it. It erupts between 3,700 and 8,400 gallons of water, approximately every 60 to 100 minutes. Old Faithful has plenty of company. At one time, this was the only entrance to the park. Roosevelt Arch. Standing 50 feet tall and named after our 26th president. It reads, "For the benefit and enjoyment of the people." President Theodore Roosevelt, who did so much to foster America's national parks, and who always wanted to visit Yellowstone, was here to lay the arch's cornerstone. Perhaps it's fitting that this champion of the preservation of the wilderness, Theodore Teddy Roosevelt, where bears have the right of way, is honored by having his nickname bestowed on a toy much loved by generations of little children: the teddy bear.